Hello, we're here at the Humboldt County Office of Elections. My name is Juan Pablo Cervantes. I'm the election manager. Today we'll be doing the logic and accuracy test for the June 7th statewide direct primary election. This test will cover a few different things. We'll be testing the various scanners, which will be deployed as ballot boxes to polling places. We'll also be testing the vote by mail scanner and the ballots. The purpose of the test is to ensure that the machines that we have and the ballots that we're feeding them are being read accurately, hence the accuracy, and that the logic tabulation, the math component of it, is being done accurately as well. With me today is Katie Coventry and Margaret Young. They'll be our observers to represent the public in the process. We're going to start by picking 2 precincts to run through the scan machines, and then every other precinct that we have, we're going to scan through the vote by mail machine. That way we're able to capture a slice of every part of the process. All right. We have every single precinct set up here. They're in alphabetical order. Would you 2 like to pick a precinct each? So we have them set up so that each one of these pieces of paper encompasses a different precinct. Feel free to look around. I'll have you set it right here when you're done. So we have 4 E42 and 1 CS1. All right, we'll set those aside for now, and we'll get the machine set up. They're going through a boot process where the machine is checking internally to make sure that the software is as we have configured it and that no tampering has been done to it. After that, we're going to check for a 0 report to make sure that there are no votes on the machine. I'll have Margaret and Katie check that 0 report here in a bit. Would you each like to check the machine to make sure that there's all zeros across the tape? All zeros? All right. Let's open the ballot box and show that there are no ballots in there. Put it in there. Nothing in there. All right, let's open the polls. Go ahead and open these polls. Then I'll have you start feeding your ballots into the scans. And then while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and get the next part of the test set up. going to go ahead and cast the ballot as it is. That's just, the machine is letting you know that at least one side of the page was fully blank. That gives the voter an opportunity to vote if that was a mistake. both of them. Explain how. Pull and try it again. Cast it out. It's got a very high threshold. It wants to be really diligent about making sure it's in the All done? All right. Go ahead and close the polls. So when the machine sees an overvote, that means that the voter has selected multiple choices when they only have one choice on a particular race. The machine informs the voter of this to see if that is indeed what they wanted to do. If that's what they wanted to do, they would be able to hit the button that says cast ballot as is. If they are wanting to address that, they bring that ballot back to their poll worker and get spoil that ballot and then get a new ballot. Go ahead and cast it. And then we have precincts we selected here. CS1. And these are the results. So this has predetermined the pattern that was marked on the ballots. And so if everything worked well, if the machine scanned them appropriately, the results are going to match our spreadsheet here. And that was 4 equally. Alright, and I'll have you all check to make sure that the results match. Let me show you how to do that. Yeah, you'll have the take, each one of these is a content. Let's go to the very top. So it should match, so Schultz should have 2 votes, Sanders 3 votes, and so on and so forth. And these would be overvotes. They're not titled in any way, they're just in general over. There you go. You're doing that on this next step. I'm sorry for the small spreadsheet. This is a very big spreadsheet. So we're at the point in the test. We have 2 observers pick randomly precincts. We'll have test pattern on this, basically piece of ballots that are to be determined.
Right, there's no names on the, yeah, just numbers, right?
Exactly. And so we've already scanned them. The machines have produced tally results, and the spreadsheets that they're comparing them to are what we're
Okay. What are the procedures for anomalies and failures?
We investigate them, essentially.
Well, I mean, it's, I was expecting a little bit more, but I guess the procedure for itself, she comes up with a problem, she raises her hand, you come over and you take a look.
We try to figure out where that problem lies.
Okay. Have you run into any problems that require that?
No.
And I take it you've done this test 100 times before you've done this.
Absolutely. And we did encounter problems at that point. Every single one of them was user error. So a ballot was miscounted.
I've done a lot of testing in my life, so I know what it takes to get it.
Yeah. And that's primarily it. That's a ballot was shuffled into the wrong stack. It produced the wrong outcome.
So actually, it wasn't wrong.
It was. That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Failure is when you put in something and it doesn't come out the way it should.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured it'd be along the line. What's the company that's making?
There. Hard. I'm sorry. It's Hard's the company. There the model or the line.
Okay. Is there any literature?
I'll be able to get that.
Any literature you have that I can look up, you know, companies and stuff like that, as well as operations?
First can be it, and then when we're coming down here, I'll guide you through to where all of the certification paperwork at. Every machine that gets used in the election needs to be certified to the Secretary of State, and part of that is a whole slew of pen testing and documentation.
And has there been any conflict between you guys and the Secretary of State office?
No, not really.
I got plenty of questions for you. Everything gets resolved and you're able to answer all the questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Tell me about the technology itself. Is it,
It uses geometry, so it's not using character recognition. It's actually checking for the distances between things in order to find the hitboxes. And so it deals with hitboxes on that. And it expects those boxes to be in the screen. Whereas other machines will use character recognition because they're not that way. These scans use that.
is it logging data on there?
On the scans, yes. It logs it. And we have, essentially it's scanning the ballots. We get data from that in order to do tabulation, but then we have the hard ballots that's kind of adjust them on that.
Okay, so it starts on paper.
Yeah.
Paper feeds in,
The machine scans, gets
scans
data.
it, and then it's digitized at that point. But if we still have the paper,
We always have paper.
that's really all I wanted to know. I mean,
And then we do one better, and this is one of the reasons I came over to elections when I found out about this. I'm a transparency nerd. All about the various, open meeting laws and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things we'll see that I know other county does, we get an independent organization, independent nonprofit, scan every single ballot. There's a chain of custody involved. They're here on site. They bring their own machines. They do their own. Yeah.
all right, you guys are robust.
That's the idea.
Yeah. So many people have problems, and problems aren't even real.
Yeah. How are we looking?
I'm good.
Yeah. Would you like to take a look at the spreadsheets?
So here you'll see, sorry about the size of the spreadsheet, that's because our class is very, very long. Here we'll have the tally, and that tally should be represented on each of these races. Each of these are races, each of these are choices, and this is how the machine reads the process. And all of the paperwork and documentation that gets created through the logic and accuracy process, just about every part of the election process, is saved and available to the public for you to see, including the ballots. In other states, there are laws regarding being able to have that second view in California.
Yeah, I figured if it starts with the paper ballot, and really it ends with the paper ballot, it's a robust system. You really can't, I mean, so it's ballot stuffing, that kind of stuff, but, no, as long as, everything's being listed out, I guess.
You document to see every piece of paper we have on.
This is exactly what I was expecting to see, without the testing.
All right. We're going to move on to the next step of the process.
Okay.
It's going to be how we handle our vote by mail ballots. That's going to be done through our central scan. We get a lot of vote by mail. About 94% of voters in Humboldt County in the last election voted by mail. If we did it through the ballot boxes, that would take a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a central scanner that addresses that, and we test every part of that configuration. So this is going to be the next step.
This is just a regular scanner, though, it's not designed to specifically work.
That's correct, but it's we received it. It's a part of what we got from the vendor, and so the vendor sourced the scanner and has it configured. The supply chain is vetted through the certification process that the vendor goes through. Everything that these go through as well.
Are these, is this asset tag? They obviously,
Pardon
Or
me?
is this-
Yes, the machine. Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we have everything documented. There's seals on everything.
In other words, this isn't the usual printer that they use.
No, yeah, and none of our machines that touch ballots ever hit anything that has to do with the internet. Any media that comes out of them is one way. So at no point is a USB inserted into any of these devices that was previously in another computer. As soon as something goes that way, it doesn't go back in. They look like workstations, they're kiosked, they have windows very deep somewhere, but it's never accessed by any of us, it's only accessed by me. And then as you can see, everything is sealed up.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to see how it goes?
Is there an internal server here that the data goes to? This guy. Okay,
That's
it
it.
does not leave the building.
No, just nothing leaves the building, yeah, in that sense. We'll get exports, so we'll get results and pull results out of this room
Yeah.
and then feed those externally. We'll send our results to the Secretary of
Step
State.
process to get it going.
But this all stays here, it gets backed up
Excellent.
in multiple places, yeah. And
Okay.
then we do archives every night. As we get further into the election, those archives take longer and longer to do because it's a cumulative archive. And so, zero report, all about zero reports. We want to make sure we start with a blank slate. And we did that with
with the scans as well. Prior to start putting anything into the machines, we print a zero report to make sure that no ballots have been put into the machine prior to them being deployed, and then we check to make sure that the ballot box is empty prior to scanning. Yeah. Feel free to go there. Zero report, and we'll begin scanning. After we scan the ballots, we'll do adjudication. Adjudication gets involved when there's a voter intent flags, essentially. So say a voter marks 2 boxes, it'll flag that because that would be an overvote. Somebody will check to make sure there's no arrow pointing this one or that one, and then we'll verify that we follow the voter's intent. That all gets logged as well, and there's a second component of that. So there's 2 people that need to have eyes on that, and that process is public. So if anybody ever wants to observe us do the adjudication, we're welcome to come and make sure that everything's being done.
That's basically correcting an error?
Yeah, essentially. With when they're at the polling place, the machine will actually kick out their ballot if they've overvoted and ask them if they intended to do so, or if they would like to remedy the issue.
Perfect.
With vote by mail, they don't have that same ability, and so there's that additional step that's necessary.
Okay. Yeah. So that you will actually contact somebody if there's an anomaly.
We can't contact them because once we've scanned, so the process for vote by mail has kind of 2 pathways. So we receive a vote by mail ballot in an envelope with a signature and information.
Yeah.
As soon as we're able to verify that that voter should indeed be voting, and that they haven't voted before, and that their signature matches and everything, the ballot and the envelope get split. The idea behind that is that voter secrecy. A ballot is a ballot, and any ballot is the same as any other ballot. As soon as we verify that it is indeed you and you should be voting, then that secrecy happens. And in order for that to work out, we can't put a name or anything on any of the ballots.
It was a thought that if somebody puts out their ballot and it's wrong, and they didn't know about it, I mean, there's never really no way to correct that. Huh?
Yeah, but again, that'd be like, in order for us to do that, we would need to know how everybody voted.
Right, that's
another, yeah.
That's having phone numbers and names and that.
But people do, like, they'll mark 2, but they only wanted 1, and they'll put like an X through it, and then put an arrow on the one that they want. So
and the machine's able to read that?
No, that's the adjudication process.
Okay.
Yeah. So that gets documented, and that's also part of what that independent organization does.
Okay, so they're basically inspecting each one that comes through.
And like here, if they mark 2, if you're working at the poll, we'll ask them, would you like us to spoil that ballot and make a new ballot, or do you want to let it go into the other?
That's good. That's
up
good.
to them.
It's catching the problems as they happen in the life, and you can.
Or if they didn't vote for anything, too, it's like, well, did you want to go back and look at any of these races, or you didn't want to vote for any of these races?
Anybody from the Secretary of State office show up around here?
It's a little bit of a drive for them. We'll reach out, and they'll be making sure. We're currently being televised, so they might be watching us. And we're on YouTube currently, and we'll be on Access Humboldt as well.
So they're chewing on all that data right now?
Yeah. There we go. Next action.
I'm the only one showing up today, huh? Sorry.
Everybody that comes into this room has to be signed in. This is a law.
Okay, so I should go
You
ahead.
have to sign in. That way there's a law that every person that comes in here and out here.
It's logged.
How did you hear about us?
I think it was on one of the Eureka West Coast or something like that. They posted it, and I was just curious about it. Yeah, with all the complaining that's going on with the machines, I have a background in technology, so I can understand a little bit. I just want to see what everybody's complaining about.
And there's also a manual count that's also that is in here.
Right,
So that's, for people who walk through, we pick a precinct out of a hat. And then those people, one person are verifying the count of the ballot, one person is calling the ballot, another person is verifying that call, and two people with hand tally sheets.
Okay.
And it all, it all happens.
And all these people are volunteers doing this kind of thing?
Yeah.
We're a big fan of bringing people in. I think informing people and giving them access, free access, is kind of the best way to inoculate people with the truth.
But the problem is people don't want to come in and do this kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm the one person here. And, next thing we're going to have people down at City Hall standing out front, with signs and stuff. But where are they?
Well, they're welcome to go on and watch it.
That's kind of what we're trying. We're trying to go where people are at. But yeah, like you said, you can only do so much.
Yeah. I was expecting more people to be here, but that's okay.
Just have people in the house.
Well, my main concern is my own, how I feel about it, not so much about what other people feel about it. Like I said, it's what I expected.
Yeah, we run a pretty tight ship in California.
Well, I became an election worker just for the very same reasons that you had. First, I started out as a poll worker, and then I came into the office to see what the rest of the process was. And we're just ordinary people.
I want to understand. I always, for everything I have, why?
Yeah, the team stuff that with ballots and all, there's always two people with ballots at all times. So you can't just.
And it's up to as long as, more than one pair of eyes are on it.
There's more than one pair, there's multiple pairs of eyes on them at all times. And everything check, double check, sometimes triple, quadruple check.
Can you imagine doing this in your large city? How many machines you'd be working on? How many people you guys would have?
Thousands. LA County?
Yeah, something like that.
So they get the multiple big like firms that, run.
How many, when we do voting, how many setups are there going to be?
There's 40.
Polling places?
Yeah.
We have 36 polling places.
How many machines is there?
It's going to be one per polling place.
Okay.
Of these. For vote by mail, we have 2 available to us. We tend to just use one. We're able to piece out the work to the point where we're able to have just one machine running. Occasionally, if we have too many at once, we'll have two setups.
That we're going down to precincts. We have precincts this year again. Some polling places might have 2 different precincts within that location.
Oh, really? That would sort of get confusing.
Well,
Once you start putting this stuff together, you gotta.
Every location.
Yeah, you gotta. It's not designed just for Humboldt.
But like if there's two different polling places at the end of the night. They go through and split their ballots, and they have their tapes and all, so they know who's, you know, they're different. They're marked on the ballots what the precinct number is, so it's like, these are your precinct, these are your precinct. And then they're checked again, you know, when they come back here.
Frankly, I don't see anything wrong with our election system.
No, not in California.
I think one of the biggest challenges we face has more to do with access. Getting polling places that are accessible and getting poll workers to man those polling places, that's kind of where the difficulty lies.
In places, they're cutting back on that access dramatically. It's not constitutional.
Yeah. And some of that, at least in California, is a facility issue. It's just getting the geographic buildings where we need them and making sure that they have accessible resources, doors that aren't too heavy to open, ramps, and all that kind of stuff.
Seems like people are going to tend to go towards mail-in though.
And we're seeing that.
Yeah.
It's at 94% in the last election.
That means 6% are going to 36 polling places throughout the county.
And they everyone is getting a mail-in ballot, but if they go to a polling place, they have to surrender that mail-in ballot or vote provisionally. So that way
Well, I dropped off my ballot last year.
Hmm?
I put it in the box out front
Right,
last year.
that's fine. And we go out and get those every day. We go out and see those boxes.
Yeah, it's easier just to fill it out at home and just kind of toss it in there, as long as I'm confident in how it's going to be
And
processed.
there's drop boxes throughout the county, and there's teams that go out and empty them.
Yeah, I figure the one right out front is probably the best one to put it in.
And we have one in the lobby too. We just empty the one in the lobby too.
But we always do it as a two-man team.
Team, it's always a team.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they're cutting back on all that access, except for just trying not to have elections. You know?
Yeah, I think California is more open and more accessible. Being down to online and registered voters, most of the DMV.
We're better off than a lot of states.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned about what's going to happen this year. When people start going to the voting places, with the way things are going, I'm a little afraid about what could happen. You guys are pretty secure in here, though. I figured you guys walk in and there'd be the big open bay and everybody could walk in, but it's good. You sign in, you got locked doors. Yeah. Do you have law enforcement or security on site?
We have security, but they're not enforcement.
Nobody armed?
I don't know. I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
We've there. In
And
Humboldt
I would-
County, we haven't run into too much of an issue on that front. We hear things from colleagues across the state
Yeah.
where that's becoming more and more of a dire thing for them.
It's the point in time, it's a possibility of happening within that period of time. So it's a good question to ask whether or not things are going to be secure.
We've run into there's like a security balance there for us where we can't have a really strong law enforcement presence on site,
Yeah.
especially at polling places, because that could deter people
Right.
from wanting to vote. And so
There's a new rules that are being kind of what people can do and what they can't do.
Mhm.
There's a new thing on corruption, and there's a new thing on tampering or anything with the ballot. And then also like you can't wear certain logos and different things. I mean, there's a whole chain, and it's posted.
Mhm.
So people know what those are, and those will be posted in every single polling place.
Keeps it neutral, I guess, right?
Yeah. Rules, you know, you can't be telling somebody how to vote, you can't be doing things like, you know, all those different things. You know, that's new legislation here in California, and those rules are, like I said, will be posted at every single polling place, and people here in this county will be in English, Spanish, and French. So if somebody comes in with something, you can go and refer them to the rule.
And so far, nobody's really gone off the edge about any of this stuff around here. Nobody's complaining, nobody's threatening or anything like that. Something like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I guess poll workers are getting threatened quite a bit too.
Most people don't even know we're working.
Yeah, it seems like it's. I'm starting to get the impression it's pretty quiet around here with regards to that kind of stuff, as opposed to places like Mississippi and Alabama and stuff like that, where they're just enraged.
So here we had 14 ballots that were rejected, and let me show you what occurred, and I have an idea of when that happened. So this means that 14 of them weren't read. This is one of them. The machine saw that it was askew, and then that messes with the geometry that it sees.
Okay.
It'll be something similar.
I see what you're saying, Joe. It's not recognizing characters, it's recognizing math.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we'll do in a situation like this is we'll just go ahead and discard the batch and then rescan that same batch.
Okay, you do the whole thing.
The whole thing, yeah. The alternative is thumbing through.
Right.
And finding
the individual one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's good.
Sometimes technology is temperamental. How often you wind up redoing it?
More often than I'd like, but not that often. We'll get maybe like 15 or 20 batches like that throughout the election.
Generally, they'll go through and they'll be okay.
Yeah. The other part to consider is we're not necessarily always getting batches of the same. Some ballots will be pretty beat up.
Be what?
Some ballots will be pretty beat up when we get them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't read it.
We try to do the best we can. There's a duplication process if necessary, where we just copy that ballot onto a fresh sheet, and then that all gets documented.
And that's all. Okay.
Paired up as well. And part of the problem here is it's just too big of a batch.
We can actually tell what people have been eating while they're doing their ballot at times. We do the best to kind of clean their food and stuff off of those ballots.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit of spaghetti.
Yeah, oatmeal.
That's funny.
Once in a while you get something, they've been eating candy or something, it's sticky.
Piece of chocolate. Like their kids filled it out or something, huh?
Yeah. It's like, here, let me show you your ballot. Barcodes have to remain clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to keep it scribbled to the barcode then.
Yeah. Yeah. The barcode's got to stay clean and clear. Otherwise.
But you can be amazed once they have hair in the barcode or ink in the barcode.
As long as you have enough reason in the barcode.
There can't be anything in the barcode.
Anything at all?
Anything else. We check those in the mail. We check those out before and it needs to be applied for duplication.
And really, the barcode is just one thing that indicates what the document is. There's actually a number at the top that corresponds to it.
Yeah, it's surprising how he felt it rained and there mud. Lots of different things like that.
Never really thought about that. Seems like they get through the documents, counting stuff pretty quick. I mean, generally it doesn't last that long, maybe a few days for people to get through counting all the ballots.
No, it takes longer.
Well, I mean, if they,
Well, we use pretty much the full month because 94% are mail-in. Each one of those has to be, signature has to be authenticated.
Mm.
And then they're opened and checked for barcodes and anything else to make sure. And then anything that's wrong with them gets shoved off to one pile. The rest of them go on to the process where they get read here. But it's
Well, I mean,
a
after-
very late.
yeah, I can see how long it would go on, but after a few days, the news is reporting who won, basically. So, I
Well, you
mean,
can
that could always
tell
change.
the number of ballots come in. And we get, remember, ballots go out next week. So they will be starting to come in probably by the end of the week.
Mm.
So we can start opening them so many days before the election.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you
So
gotta
we
kinda hang
start
on to them
and-
for a while.
Not
Get 'em
only do those ballots get locked in here, they get additionally locked in that secure room.
Another.
So it's very secure process, but we can start opening them and getting them prepared to be scanned through.
Mhm.
So on election night, when the initial results are released to the public, those are all mail-in ballots. Those are not the ballots that come back from the precinct.
Hmm.
Because those all have to be just double checked that, you know. But everything that initial release is everything that has been scanned in. Correct, Juan? On election night, the first release of figures is from the mail-in ballot that has been scanned.
That's just the data we have. We're able to process the ballot up until we're able to do math. We're not allowed to do math on the ballot until after the polls close. And so no tabulation is allowed to happen before then. And the machines don't allow us to do any kind of tabulation.
Okay.
The idea behind that is that any kind of early tabulation could function as a means of voter suppression. So you don't want to vote. No data about how people are voting can possibly be released prior to the ballots or the polls closing. And then you've shown where the restroom was at coming in. It's down the hall. The process will take a long.
Okay. I was gonna take a break here in a little bit, but if that's okay. So it's been about a 3-hour test?
Yeah. We do every single precinct. So every permutation of the ballot is accounted for every place. And so we have 100 precincts. Each of those is 35 ballots. So we're going to run 3,500 ballots through the machine. And that's it's a 2-page ballot, so that's double that in a piece of paper. 7,000.
And this test that you're running right now, like I said, you've already done it a million times, right? And you're using the exact same,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we keep everything as identical as possible so that it's a valid test.
Any rejects?
Nope. Just a matter of not over repeating it. But it lets you know when it has a problem with something you're throwing at it. And the pieces of paper I'm removing just are split into different precincts.
Have you ever worked over your life?
No.
Maybe that's something maybe you'd be interested in, and they're looking for people.
Yeah, I've been interested in it. That's actually kind of what got my interest to come here today. I'm working on putting together my own business client, so I spend all my time working with that. Later
Sometime you
on,
may want to just work the polls one day.
yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I may want to
You
do
know,
that.
it's just one day and there's no training.
Yeah.
Training is Zoom.
Was that?
The training is via Zoom, so you
Okay.
can
Do that from
do
home?
that via Zoom, except the machine training. Machine training is hands-on.
Are you guys short on people?
Oh, yeah,
Always.
always looking for people. I think you can still even sign up if you want.
And it's a volunteer kind of thing, not paying.
There's a stipend associated with it. It's not enough to really truly compensate you for your time, but it's a little something.
People knew about that. I'm sure you have more people in here, right?
We try to do some advertisement. You know, we went to the Los Angeles Outpost. We did some radio. Access Humboldt does a spot for us. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking to lots of people around town all the time, too. All this, where I talk to all this, know that you're looking for people.
You'll find that if you talk to anybody that's in elections about the election, one of the first things we're going to ask you is if you're interested in being a poll worker.
Yeah.
It's a long day, but
Pretty
it's
rewarding.
interesting.
I got into this when I was in high school. I was a poll worker. You're allowed to be a poll worker before you're able to vote. You can be, I think, 16. I think it might have been 17 when I did the way back when. It was a different.
It's a good policy there.
Yeah, if you look at there's data that shows that if you're a poll worker in high school, the odds of you being a lifelong voter are just exponentially greater. You become a part of the process, you're a stakeholder in it, you've done it.
You learn about it, you know what's going on. Yeah, it took me a long time before I started voting. Now I regret it.
Got a few rejected. And it's going to be the same reason for the rejections. They get a skew if you overload the scanner.
do have one big piece of equipment, and that's our mail sorting machine.
Oh, no.
When the mailing ballots start coming in, we can get what, 7 to 8 or more trays a day, depending on how many people are voting in an election. And each of those trays holds like, it'll be more than 400 if we have a 2-page ballot this time. So about 400 ballot. Yeah, so each one has like 400.
How many voters do we have in town?
80 something. We have like 120,000 people altogether.
About 80,000 votes.
80,000.
Registration's coming in every day.
And I got,
They can either do the paper registrations or they can go on the Secretary or State site and register online.
I got, I remember if I registered online.
We'll send them a form to get a signature from them.
Oh, I guess I haven't done that. I guess I need to do
And they
that.
can register even the day of election, if they haven't registered, they can come
Cool.
in and go to conditional, do the registration, do the ballot, and then it has to be, the registration has to be entered and then verified by the Secretary of State, and then those ballots are counted at the very end.
We're not voting until November anyways, right?
No, we got the one coming up in June.
That's why we're doing.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this, because the
ballots
primary
go out
is in June. Ballots go out next week for the primary.
Okay, yeah, but it's still, when does the,
Election day.
June 7th.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
first
it's all local stuff then, right?
No, state stuff too.
I thought it was later in the year when they did that.
No.
I'll go home.
Well,
and-
the final will be in November, but you're
Oh, this
picking
is
the
primary
top.
stuff.
It's primary stuff.
Okay.
Now, if it's a presidential election like in 2024, we will actually, the primary actually is in February?
Yeah.
February.
I'm sorry?
But we're off,
March.
March, that's right, March, the first Tuesday in March. But because it's an off, it's not a.
Yeah.
There's congressional races,
Congressional, yeah.
city council, all the local stuff. City council, board of supervisors.
Okay, there's a lot of material I need to read through.
I don't know, there's something, some initiatives and ballot measures on there.
Mhm.
I think there's a tax collector, auditor controller.
You know what I haven't seen? I haven't seen any advertising for, running for governor, US senator.
Be right back.
There's races throughout, all of the capital congressional and senate council, because the congressional council.
It's a big election.
It's two pages, so it's all that stuff on, the 4 pages, it's 2 sheets, 2 sheets, front, back, stuff on there. And you can go vote pamphlets and all, probably going out early next week along with your ballot.
So I'll make sure I'm registered. I'm gonna be able to vote this time, but I'll need to know who I'm voting for too.
Well, the booklets will be coming out, and then you can do your study, with your sample ballot, and the, I think we have some just out front of the candidate statements and everything.
You're not registered yet? You're on the way out.
Are you,
At the front desk.
or you probably, you voted before that.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so you probably registered that,
And they can check
and they can check it.
Okay. Yeah, I voted in the last election.
You vote November?
That was the recall for Gavin Newsom.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you're right. You're right.
I knew that would be the easiest election I've ever worked. One page.
The way they split up the ballots, though, I mean, it's like, how do they put that? Not like a regular win or loss kind of thing. I'm not even sure how they explained it. It's something strange where they divide up.
If you want to recall, yes, to recall or negative recall.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you vote yes to the recall, then you vote
For
someone other than Gavin.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, whatever.
But a lot of people wrote in Gavin Newsom.
Feed them?
It's not the, that's not the right answer.
Want me to feed them in?
Sure. That
Where
way.
you at?
All right, so these are done at the bottom. And then I'm working on that tray over there. Oh, this one right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, I was saying about the mailing out, you know, big trays, right? We have to go through the mail service batches them in 25s.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
we have
All
to check the signatures, run those through sig check. We used to have to do that manually. Now, we have this giant sorter machine. It not only sorts them into usually
And we're only doing about as much as we put in there.
cities,
Put too many in.
so that we get more of the districts together.
Yeah.
So it's not super big,
You
like
need
say
this
LA
one.
County, but we can sort it at least like 10 or 12, 14 different categories
Yeah.
that'll get them so that they're more back closer together. And so, and it also opens the envelope. That's so nice. We used to have to do that.
As time goes on, the more technology is going to come into play. It's going to get easier. I would think. You always got to take the ballot. That's the best way to do it. But as far as feeding through the technology, I'm sure it'll be even more easier in the future.
When that thing's going, it's super easy.
Yeah, I think I've seen those sort machines.
Yeah.
Do like half of those.
Stacking envelopes on one side, and then they just come through.
Yeah.
And then sorting to their different bits.
Yeah, I think I've seen those machines. Yeah.
And then we do tray mail. We put them back in trays. But now they're like all of a district, you know, all of our kingdoms or all of the regions or all of supervisory district number 1, you know, whatever. And then those go to teams that then remove the ballot from the envelope and start that inspection process and make sure it doesn't need to be duplicated if it's not damaged or something like that. The other thing we duplicate is when people either put threats or curses on the ballot. We will duplicate it without the foul or threatening language.
Oh, so you're taking off what shouldn't be on there and then processing.
We're not gonna say
Because they all
stuff that has
get
bad
scanned.
language and stuff on it.
Yeah.
Because like at the very end, after this transparency scan, someone, you can go and look at every single ballot.
Every single ballot is due, because the scanning process
Right.
makes it,
You
Yeah.
can see everything.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts on that.
so if you write down Snoopy.
You're gonna see Snoopy on there.
You'll see Snoopy,
Or
but
Mickey
if
Mouse.
somebody writes FU, we
Yeah.
will not do,
Yeah,
we will not.
We don't want stuff.
do that.
that makes sense.
So yes, do we need every minute of every day? Yeah, right now, it's a little bit, I won't say it's slow, because we're all busy. Because, for instance, there's 21 petitions that have gone out. But if you go to Target and the guys ask you to sign stuff,
Right.
there's 21 of them. We've gotten 7 in so far. So there's another 14. All of those have to be counted. And then if they need that, then we give those raw numbers to the state, and when the state says, yes, the required number of signatures has been met, or no. So then if it has been met, then we have to go back in and do a signature verification. Not every signature, because some of them are like 6,000, 8,000 signatures. You're not gonna check every one, but we do a 3%.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Even at 3%, that's a lot of people. My signature sucks. People look at it
but
like,
as long as it's consistent.
yeah,
we
that's the thing, is I try to keep it consistent. You can't read it, but
You don't have to tell them their signature changes, maybe you get more frail or.
signatures in the past have been the way we've gone, and we're still using that these days, but with biometrics, all this other technology is coming out, signatures we'll still use it, but there's going to be other tools that we're going to have to go along with that. But then you're dealing with privacy too. It's a fine line to balance.
We can show these afterwards. I just want to make sure they're all after we get all the ballots scanned, you're welcome to peruse the test deck.
Why do you use them anymore?
Yeah.
You have enough? Oh, okay, so still need to do.
Yeah, I don't think I'll need to go through stuff. I just want to, the main thing I'm looking for is anomalies and failures.
And why, I'm sure.
And how they are addressed. And we've seen a couple anomalies here, and I've seen it addressed, we run it through again. Not seeing any issues. I'm sure you'd like the scanner to work a little better.
Yeah, it does.
But
Does what it can.
I
Yeah.
would think the company would want to make their own system proprietary, so it's integrated with their technology and not kind of universally used.
I think election software hardware is the sort of thing where it's tough. I mean, when you look at the market, it's an interesting market in that we're not going to buy a new system for many, many years, and so I'm sure that's a factor. And the thing that I always remind myself as we're going through this with those rejections is like the system, we want it to do that.
Yes,
Because
definitely.
the threshold is so high
Yeah, definitely. And
or tight.
all the testing that I've done, I've always done my documented testing, my requirements, but then I'll go beyond that and do stuff that I want to do, just crazy stuff to try to get it to break. It's a good way to bring up bugs.
Ran through a lot of this stuff yesterday before I left, just because I wanted to be able to sleep last night. Alright, we get everything through again. Gosh, alright, is that the one that went through, or? That one's good. Is this the one that goes over there?
in more down here.
Okay, the next big piece is going to be bringing D drive. So we're going to snip the seal off this, pull the memory card that's recording all the ballots. We're going to pull them from these two. We're going to create one for that, so that we'll bring all the ballots over to the tabulator, which is the machine on the left there.
Okay.
And that's the thing that does the best.
What kind of memory cards are you using on this?
It uses D drives, which look a lot like USBs, but they're proprietary. And so they don't, if you were to stick one of those in a computer, it wouldn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're all in the ecosystem. They don't ever go into a computer. And then for the scans, we save those V drives the same way that we save ballots. So once we use a V drive for these purposes, they get saved until, I want to say 22 months.
Can you get locked up somewhere?
Yeah. They get locked, but they get tagged and locked up so that we know where they're at and who last touched them.
And when they are removed, they are placed in a travel.
So the machines come all together here back to our office. So nobody ever, this seal stays clipped on there from the second it leaves the building until it comes back, and we verify that the seal is still the same seal. And so it stays in here. Once we use it, when we open it, we're essentially opening it and bringing all the ballots over, and then we have a lockable case that we deposit them into.
Okay.
They're all numbered too.
Yes, okay.
Those are checked before they go out. The people picking up the equipment for the polls, they're checked again, and they're checked throughout the day to make sure nothing.
Let's get
Good?
Good.
Ready to go?
We're about a third of the way there.
You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and take a break, if that's okay?
Feel free. Let me show you where the document is at, and then I'll practice the work for you.
I'm gonna come back in there, I'll be back in.
So you're a lot of waiting.
Can't sit for us, so I'd rather stand. But the last time you even had to stick your turn.
Are we gonna press the sorter machine?
Yeah. Not as a part of this. Not doing anything else really. But yeah, we're gonna get a 3-minute here pretty soon. There we go. We want to get through this part of it though first. Those are all good.
There you go. This time would be yellow. These aren't over yellow. No, I don't think we ever have. As long as I've been here, that's the first time would be the baby yellow.
Kind of hard to see the bear on the photo.
Yeah, that's what they're up. But that might be good then, so that way people, be a lot harder to duplicate. The little. We have all the other colors.
You ready to go?
Yep, it's ready.
Yep.
There you go. Pretty wavy.
Yeah, it'll happen. Just do this scanning. Thank you. You can just set it down. You able to find your way?
Yeah.
This used to be a grocery store, and then a bank. The walls would move around the lines.
Must have been the warehouse back here.
Yeah, well, I think this part used to be a bank. We inherited the security area, which we loved.
Yeah.
The safe used to be back there.
Humboldt Bank. One. Do you ever have, those apparel boxes?
I think so, yeah. Right, I think those.
It was so great last time. It was helped with the manuals now.
As long as we're able to still use them, I think that's a good. When we still have the same size paper.
We're using the lab too, for the unused balance.
Good idea.
So we might.
You could always order more. They're Uline apparel boxes, so they're not a hot commodity.
Well, biofilters are right now, so maybe not. If other places are using them for secret society.
I don't think anybody else uses the Uline apparel boxes.
That was a Judy thing, she could market that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. Ready for the next one? A little warm. It's a little warm back here.
Sun is definitely out today.
The last
Sun's definitely out today.
well, the last few weeks, it was like, they're freezing at front and like, okay, they're on out there. So leave the tall there, but keep it. Figure out, we don't need this. Because it's warm up here today. Well, probably because of heat. Why the heat's on like that? It used to always be cold. You know, it's like, Good. Ready?
Is the batch that's in the, scanner right now?
Yeah.
Halfway there.
On the third precinct.
Yeah.
Third supervisor.
Good.
Okay.
Moving along.
A lot of people in for trouble.
So there's one thing wrong with the voting process, using paper, it's the number of trees that have to die.
You
So
don't
we
have
got
to cut down
paper
trees
for
to make paper, I guess. I mean, barely. But it's what makes the system so robust.
Okay, recycle the waste.
All the technology, that's just helping counter stuff.
Take
And
the valve
the paper
out.
ballots are really where it's at. And that's what I was thinking the whole time, you know, people are complaining about the technology, they're being demonized and all that. It's just a calculator, really, you know, it's tabulator. The technology is secondary to the handwritten thing. I mean, this is just making it easier.
That's essentially it.
And for people to focus on these machines saying that's where the problem is, you got the paper ballots to back it up. So,
Yeah, so we can always go back and
yeah.
look at the ballot.
I think Margaret was mentioning the manual tally we do. So we'll take the sample size of the ballots and count them the old-fashioned way and compare it to the machine. So there's all these different checks along the way.
And that's all on film, there's a camera on that one, that whole process is broadcast.
And we've had, people come in, we've had people, especially when races are pretty tight, that some of them will come in and want to sit and watch it. It's like, fine.
We invite all the political parties and the newspapers. We want people to be here.
Yeah.
They come and actually watch us do the manual tally.
So
Or
this
they
is
watch it
actually on the day of, after the vote? You guys actually bring people
It'll be a
together?
couple of days after. The day after is usually a rough day for us because we're here
Couple
till
days, couple days.
So
Within a
4 or
couple
5 in
days,
the morning.
You guys are basically opening up back to the public.
We'll still be open to the public the day after. We're sorting stuff and collecting everything. Elections usually aren't certified until about 30 days after the election day. You'll hear the media announce
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but it's never an actual, like an accurate necessarily accurate. Could go the other way when they announce.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes it comes down to, it come down to the last day of battle, you know,
Yeah.
especially races that are really close.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think in this county, we've had races as close as 36 ballots. And so that's where every vote counts. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them get down to the very, you know, be going one way, next thing you know, it's going a different way.
We'll announce that manual tally in the same way that we announced the logic and accuracy. We're starting to have a much stronger Facebook presence. We're just trying to go where people are at, essentially. Yeah, we put a lot of work into all these processes, and we're always happy to show them off.
Well, it's good you got it televised and everything. It's completely open. For anybody to complain about this technology at this point, what I'm saying is there's no reason to complain about it.
How do we filter? We wouldn't use the technology if we felt otherwise.
Yeah.
Are you a lifelong Humboldt County resident?
I just moved here a couple years ago. Got out of the Bay Area.
Okay.
Wanted to move up here, up to this area somewhere for pretty much all my life. I'm trying to get it.
From the Sacramento area originally, and I couldn't live anywhere else at this point.
Yeah, especially the way the weather's going down south now. I mean, down in the Bay Area, I mean, we were right on the water, but we were still hitting 90 degrees on some days. So anybody inland is just, I can't live down there anymore, not with that kind of weather.
Humboldt's definitely made me soft when it comes to the weather.
Yeah.
Can't handle the 3-digit heat.
During the summer, you know, I lived in Seattle for a long time too. Same thing up there during the summer. Nice tight little community, right along the coast.
What was your town in Seattle, in the Seattle area that you lived in?
I live in Bothell.
Oh,
Yeah. The backup there, got these business put on the backup there. Yeah, I lived out there 10, 12 years.
my husband and I retired out in the LA area here.
Good choice.
And a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic hit, we thought we were tired of owning a home, and we thought we could move to a retirement community here in Michigan. That didn't happen. We came back and had to buy in at the high end of the market, you know, not quite a year ago. No, we're never leaving again.
Yeah, for me, it's something about the being on the coast. Yeah, I lived in Kansas for a year. That's a whole new experience. But yeah.
We were near, like, Vermont, right?
It's not. It's the further you go east, the more concentrated stuff is. You got all the pollution and stuff that happens over there. You get the nice fresh air off the ocean here.
getting there. For the adjudication, we'll do a couple of samples of them so that you can see what an adjudication for an overvote or an undervote or whatnot looks like. And then we'll auto do the rest, otherwise we're going to be here for days. Swap. You want to switch?
You want to do some? Yeah. You want to do some? Fine, that's, either way.
Margaret, I'll show you this part. And I'll do, or do you want to do this part?
I don't care.
Whichever one of these two, I'll show you here. So, will we select and vote on now? And then, take a little for Katie a little bit, and then Katie can come in here, and then we can swap it around. Does that work for you?
safe. No rejected.
Magic stuff.
Yeah, I did.
I bet you're running this test before was driving you crazy.
I'm sorry?
Is the test you're doing now driving you crazy before? If you're having failures, if you're developing this stuff?
No, usually it's trying to figure out what I did. You know, what is going on that is still kind of off, and I'm like, repeat again. I mean, she's been pretty solid.
That must be nice. You know, I loaded ammunition for a year, and the press that I use is all mechanical. You push up, push down, and every time you do it, there's different places on the machine that are activating mechanically.
Yeah,
One thing gets out of line,
that's it.
and you have days where every time you pull the handle, something will screw up. But then every once in a while, you have a day where there's like no screw ups, and you know, I was loading 1,000 rounds in an hour, basically. So, yeah, I understand what it means when technology does not want to cooperate, and I keep thinking of that when I see it.
We've been pretty lucky. I imagine that our vendors are pretty thorough in figuring out what works. Before we do a lot of maintenance on everything.
Yeah.
So this thing's all in service, everything gets really well taken care of.
That's all documented too. I mean, I can just see myself doing a test, trying to see the thing, and it failing every time, like something. You know, you got to get through $1,000, 1,000 pieces of documents, and one of them messes up every time. Yeah.
I hear horror stories of yesteryear, of like previous systems. And I think we're in the golden era when it comes to some of this technology.
Yeah. I actually, the technology that we have today can reshape our capability of voting. The fact is, the public can be more involved in government more than they ever have been. We don't necessarily have to have our electors decide everything for us. We can use technology as a community and vote on stuff more than what we're voting on now.
So do we have any failures or any?
No, there were no failures, but
It takes a second. You have to figure it's 3,500 ballots, 2 pieces of paper, 4 sides, all together. That's a lot.
Yeah. How many different ballot types have you got?
4.
4 ballot types.
We have one basic one, and then we've got one that'll have Arcata City Council on there, one that'll have the 4th supervisor race, and one that'll have the 5th supervisor race.
And they're very good.
That's on November.
Actually, there might be a special, well, yeah.
That's on November.
That's gonna be the one that's starting registering voting.
They're talking about it, we'll see where that
I
goes.
got that,
Oh, yeah?
the last election, election before. I think you got that narrowly, but that'll be November.
I was hoping you didn't have a dry run. I don't want to do it no more.
And I think it's Eureka and
We'll go through the end there.
Arcade's thinking about it.
Because we need one more mail trays.
The other thing, these are marked
These are all done,
perfectly.
But that's all
See,
done.
that's the other thing is all the squares are perfectly marked. Where when they come in the mail
Could be a scribble here, and yeah.
or a dot, or, I mean, it could be anything.
And that's for the adjudication system.
Okay, different colors of ink. Scan. No glitter.
Whiteout's the worst.
White out glitter, and the glitter. No glitter pen. We do get stickers in with
I
ballots.
don't think I've seen green yet, but I wouldn't be surprised.
No bud this week. We didn't get any bud nuts. Somebody's barrel on a bud in the ballot. I mean, yeah. It's like bugs. I've gotten a few bugs.
We're set up with a backup power generator too.
Okay, so the power could go out and you're good, huh?
We're still moving along. We got that Registrar of Voters, Kelly Sanders, got that as a priority after the PSPSs started happening. I want to see in 2020 the power.
Oh, yes,
Bottom,
yeah.
the bottom one has been a little bit.
We really have those problems around here. where they're actually turning off the lights intentionally. Yeah, they don't really do that around here from what I know.
They were doing it more. I want to say last year is when they kind of cut back on doing that. But in 2020, they did do to the point where we were.
They have to do that when the fires are going. That's the fire season, yeah.
And those fires could be, 100 miles
100
away.
miles away, yeah.
Our systems are set up with backup power supplies as well, so the whole kit, even when deployed, has about 2 hours of backup power. The casing was designed by somebody that worked on one of the space shuttles. We'll get you a minute for release. We're very happy with the setup. Not only are none of these connected to the internet, but none of them are connected to each other. The only
Yeah, they're not
exception would
networked
be
at all.
these two, and that's not even a workstation, it's more of just a head. So that doesn't work by itself, and in fact, we have to come on to go with it.
And again, the software's proprietary, right? It's not Windows, it's not Apple.
It's got Windows down, but it's not something that's used. So we don't have access to any of the desktop or anything. It's all very easy.
Okay, so you don't even have root capability on that. Okay.
I want to say they use Windows whenever they have service done. They have special access to that rotate. Based on time of day, I think.
They can do certain levels of access to operating systems. In this case, it's the root access. You have a certain amount of access to the root files and all that. And in this case, I'm sure it's limited even more. The basic operating system allowing it to work.
The drives are all encrypted with BitLocker, I think is what they said.
Okay.
close. Brian, really standard for registrar letters. Elected official that oversees our office.
Okay. So you're kind of in charge around here, huh? Everything's going well. I don't see any problems at all, and any problems that do come up, they're addressed within the citizens.
Great.
A couple of rejects that I was overloading the scanner. As soon as they got smaller.
That was a good thing to do because I saw what happened when they tested again.
I think Laura from Redwood News is on her way. We've done some permutation of this with every machine that's going to get deployed as well. Obviously, we didn't run that, but we did run for everything.
Nine more batches.
We ran a percentage of that.
9 more batches.
So these are the robust tests, and then the rest of them get a basic functional check.
Make sure everything is working appropriately. We'll have to do 100 ballots for each of those.
Not missing anything spectacular.
Oh, how was last Friday?
It will, it's all just like, you're only there about half an hour.
Well, because you already had your plan out, figured out, right?
We just had to change a couple, 2 or 3 things, and just go into our own, and that's it. But I think today it's just a matter of permitting and stuff.
He's gonna come up here, and you need to come up here.
So you've got an IT background?
Not IT. I started out learning to work on aircraft, and I wound up in electronics, all through the system, up to development work. So mostly what I've done throughout my life is testing safety critical stuff. So.
Yeah. You want your airplanes to function at a high level of confidence.
Yeah. I'm looking to open my own drone business around here. There's no electronics work around here. So if I want to do something, I got to make it happen.
Whenever the vendor has any update that they're wanting to do, each update needs to go through a certification process with the Secretary of State.
A chain of custody kind of thing for the.
Well, that and the code needs to get thoroughly vetted. So anything that they're having to do, they need to go to somebody at the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State has to go through it and make sure everything is.
So when they do get updated, is it with a thumb drive?
We get something delivered usually by somebody in the Secretary of State. So it's up to like hand off. It's not usually a thumb drive. It's some other kind of disk, like a hard disk.
More of a proprietary kind of thing.
I don't know if it's proprietary. It's been a while since it's happened, but I know it comes in a Mulligan briefcase. People ship it in.
They probably is proprietary. They're going through that much security.
And then they don't even get updated per se. They get wiped and then with the new updated software. So they get imaged. I think is what they
So
call
yeah,
it.
usually when you update, you're replacing certain lines of code. But what we're talking about is they'll do a full wipe and replace the entire code.
With the master special secure drive that they have. I think the last time we met them in either Reading or Lake County, they wouldn't have to drive all the way out here. But again, custody
Yeah, that's actually something I'll be dealing with on my drones if I'm working with law enforcement and stuff like that. I'm gonna insist on a certain process for doing that. I'm gonna use a traveler packet. Basically, plastic what they use for evidence, and have a little traveler card in there with signatures and the information, and that way, when I'm done with it, I can pass it on to the police.
A lot of videos are a big part of what we do here.
Yeah, that is the back and forth. Look, talking. I don't want them to get rid of it.
We got some surveys.
I worked on printers too. I worked on ID card printers. So, yeah, what's in that thing? I can just name 1,000 things up there. You always had to scan them.
We need a backup roller and different parts just in case something happens during our video.
If you ever need a clean roller, the best thing that we found was packing tape.
Oh yeah, we've done that.
Piece of packing tape. All off the rollers and stuff. Yeah, you have the ones that roll, will spin by themselves. You can do that with the careful ones. Yeah, just keep a little packing tape on it. Even if you just kind of get in there and grab it under it, clean stuff.
We're gonna do it once and we're at the point where
It's funny that.
we're more likely to just.
If you got that here, oh yeah. God, I can't. How many times I had to clean rollers, it's crazy. I'm gonna take another break.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost.
You learn anything today?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Definitely, that's what I came here for.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, I'll still here, I'm taking a break.
Oh, okay.
Put this on there.
I didn't see much last night. I think I got it. I remember this. You know, the checklist in my brain. No, we had been pre-marked.
No wonder.
Doing that in 3,500 ballots more.
We used to do it. Oh, duplication, we didn't have a machine, it was all done by hand. And it'd be, and we take, it'd be a week of duplicating that.
Surprised nobody got purple, huh?
I've seen surgeries. I did one surgery already.
My dad had it. Hopefully not seeing really careful discretion.
I'm not a corporate company. Anymore. For the game in here.
The little keyboard. The little keyboard.
I know other companies they have a change. I don't think they found her. They make this, you know, stand. I think. Maybe. Stand. I think with recording them on that, I need it.
You're gonna roll, Katie.
Yeah. He is. So. Change where they change that. We did have a few, we had a couple that okay, we know what we're doing. New technology. I started out with the big mainframe. IBM 36, IBM 38, 800, giant machines. And now we got the first PCs. Oh my God. 5 megahertz. Woo-hoo-hoo. We got the first Apple.
Yeah.
And the first word processing. We got word star. Oh yeah. And later, and that is like, it was a big deal to get that. Hey, I learned on a manual. And later on, we got the electric. And we got the liquid white out, and then we got the little thing to put the little tape in. There it is. I think now my generation for calculators, take out. I think the technology today, long time. We were on that first color TV. We used to only color TV in the neighborhood, and there's people that look at it. First dishwasher, microwave. That was a problem. Cell phone. Mobile phone. Oh, yeah.
Well, the push phone rather than the rotary phones.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until it works. And then,
These are the last 3 after. You know, both of us were born.
last of it right there?
Yeah. The one they're working on is adjudication. Show you a few of those. We'll tally them up and make sure that our counts are right.
I like how you can watch that and you can see how each step it goes through a sequence.
So we're just finishing up the last batch. We've already done the finishing up the process of the full-time after we're done with this batch, we're going to do the adjudication. I'll show you what it looks like there. When we tabulate, that'll be the end of the probably not. The register of voters, the elected officials, they're going to go yeah, and that's who led you in here. Whatever you need. One. Thank you. We stow these away. I'll show you some adjudication. You'll notice how each of these has a red mark on them. This tells me that there's some adjudication or something necessary to be done with that batch. Here are the ballots in that batch. The red ones are the ones that something needs to be resolved. White ones mean nothing to be resolved. We'll check the first ballot, see what needs to be resolved. The little area will tell me undervoted, which means that the voter didn't select any option.
Yeah, so this experience is a positive test functionality. In other words, it caught it because it wasn't selected.
Exactly.
Okay, and that was intentional.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the adjudicator would check to see if there isn't some light mark or something that they might have used to where the machine might not have caught it. So here, everything worked out perfectly. They're also checking to see if somebody circled their option, circled this box, basically referring to case the voter is going to open the ballot. So as long as the intent is clear.
That's cool. Big extra step.
If they were to
pass or fail, it's still what you do.
if they were to put a check mark on one and a circle on the other, that wouldn't be enough information. So it's still bad. But wherever we can, we can go ahead and look at that. That looks like it gets an undervote. We're going to accept it as such. We'll have somebody going through a few people on each station and we'll double check each other's work. And where necessary, we'll get a fair report person and check the exam. So that we check this all right. Go back and then one's here. Overvotes are the same. So an overvote then is red. And we want the same thing, essentially, because both options were marked. Red. We need to make sure that there isn't some little arrow pointing at one saying this one or this one, not this one, or something.
So if there's no way to determine what the intent was,
We just accept it as an overvote. It'll be marked as an overvote.
they won't be counted.
No, because we can't determine who to give their vote to. So we accept it. Same thing with these. And that's
And it's quite an often doing it, but they can make up their mind.
And in some
Also,
contests, so for example, in some city council races, they'll have the option to select them up to 3. That might be a situation.
It's basically the software's highlighting stuff you should be looking at. I didn't think you guys had it.
And again, this is the primary reason for this part of it is because during the vote by mail process, the voter doesn't really get a chance to vote. Whereas at the polling place, there's somebody who
And often somebody will put an X, like that, when they'll take one of those things, put like an X, and then draw an arrow up to the other one.
Okay, you're the adjudication.
And then the adjudication will look at that and say, oh, okay, the voter intended on it.
And then all that's individual documented piece by piece, right?
Right.
there's a log for every mouse click.
Okay.
Keystroke log.
Yeah, that one.
And there's two of us checking.
These aren't usually, we never really do this in the actual thing.
Right.
But like I said, we'll be here for days.
What you've done is you put in set parameters to specifically fail the system, so it'll highlight it, right? And now you're gonna go ahead and adjudicate all of them because you already know
What they're supposed to be.
exactly what they're.
And because we've programmed them in, we're expecting them to be adjudicated in that way.
Whereas on actual voting, you're gonna go one by one.
One by one, acting one by one. So we'll adjust these settings accordingly. So, right now, I'm going to give the ability to auto adjudicate those during voting, and then administrator should disable the select.
Okay.
That's it?
Okay, that's the adjudication process. And then next up, we're going to take all of the ballots and votes from these two machines and this one, and we're going to take them to the tally Yeah, I'll show you what the V drives look like in that. So this is a V drive. Okay. Looks exactly like a USB, but like I said, it's not.
Right.
And then this is a key. It's basically just a multi-factor authentication component of it. So in order to be able to access these things, you need the physical thing, the code that is associated with this thing, and the user code.
Wow.
Yeah. There. And then I'll show you what that process looks like over here. So we will receive these, yeah, just a minute. We're almost half an hour. Log the code, make sure that that code is the same code that went out. So we'll have all of these, and after we confirm that, we'll submit the wire. Key. That V drive already has ballots in it. We set it next to the machine we'll be using. And we'll do the same here. And then we'll have our third one from here. So these are all ready. And we'll be writing to the V drive. So now all the ballots are on here. And tabulating. This is the tabulation process. So this is will generate reports that tell us how many votes each candidate got.
The sheet that's shown, more the evidence roll, sounds like it.
Bring balance over. And we'll do this periodically throughout the night as we get the drives in. Like I said, we'll receive the scan. So our first report is just going to be voting on the ballots that we've done up until that point. Second report, we'll have the first set of scans that come in. And then once we get enough for it to be going on the report, we'll do a nightly report. And we'll do about 5 of those on election night. And that'll be pretty much the majority of ballots. So that's about 3,000. So I'm printing a cumulative report that shows no so far, so the 0 report. And that will just show that it's a blank slate before printing the ballots. More. We'll shoot 0 across the board.
And we compare that to the results of the data.
Exactly. And I'll show you the guides, and then the control essentially. Here are the controls, and I'm about to print out the each precinct. Here's the precinct control. This is generally the pattern you're going to see across the board, though. It's going to be 2 for the top one, 3 for the next one, 4 for the following one, and 1 for cost, and then 1 overgrowth and 4 for the maybe turn it on for precinct or one of the previous questions. It should print this other balance.
We can all that song, comes off the front, right?
And then we'll save those for 22 months or more if we're required to save them. And then we'll do after that. They get really late between elections. Yeah, they get, we use this machine.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then it goes beyond, so usually with the USB drive, it doesn't get completely like if you were to reformat it. This brings it down to the base space.
Yeah.
So you're welcome to start looking. Easiest one, I think, is this one. So it'll tell you what the precinct is up top. That'll correspond to the first 4 digits there.
And 26, that would be this one. So you're
Yeah,
able to
let's
check
say
the
the
images that are pattern matches.
That on here is the same.
This is what we think is gonna happen, and this is what happened. And I'll fix the toner and rewalk before we just verify that our results are accurate.
So, those are the only ones. So those three are the only ones. All right. So then I'll use a photograph of those two. Then just that people all the way something that I didn't what the shape is. And you'll email those photos to me.
Any questions or any other thoughts or concerns?
We keep all the D drives and anything like that locked away, not just in our secure room, but in the safe within our secure room. And there's a flat access kit, there's a seal attached to every entrance and exit. Did you all have any questions or? I'll have you all sign our certification since y'all are on our board. So when we print your name and then sign there. And you'll want to read to make sure you're okay with what you're signing. Essentially saying that the process was what you expected it to be. Really great to see you taking the time. Really, we like this.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to what I'm hearing in the news. People complaining about technology. I just don't see it.
We don't either, but we're happy to welcome people to come check it out. I feel like it's that interaction that'll make that go away. Coming here and say, having a
Something's changed with that. I really fear for the future.
We're doing pretty good in Humboldt County. I don't think it's an see what I hear about what's going on here. Even in other rural counties, people are like, well, you're small. Well, Alpine is small too, or Lone Johnson, they're smaller counties too. But I think I think we have a pretty engaged community here, and I think us welcoming people makes
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would recommend trying to get the word out a little bit more.
We're trying, yeah. There are new tools, and I think government's been a little slow to act those tools, but we're getting there.
Reach out to the Untitled Chapter. Okay, either teacher or a student.
That's the other bit we're wanting to do more to bring to the
We used to have, before the pandemic, possibly used to come and tour with us.
Yeah, really.
So that way they could come and see it.
I would work on that a little bit. I try to get some kids through here and to see what this is like.
Yeah, the pandemic, we get possibly get several hospitals.
Yeah, we like to go out there for business meetings like that and have a little live collection. That's see who the musical artist of choice is at your even high school or whatever they want to vote on. But getting them engaged, physically touching the machine, seeing the process.
And it's something recently that is going to be presenting in all the from high school that was attending the high school students attending.
Oh, that was the logic and accuracy test for the June 7th statewide direct primary. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Any of the documentation we have will be saved, and the public will welcome to come and peruse it and check it all out. And again, thank you for your time, and thank you to Access Humboldt for hosting us.